Syria, and Egypt. Y'all with me? Is this making sense? So my point is, we have to find ways of leveraging U.S. interests, not convincing U.S. to back out. The U.S. is never going to be an equal. It's never going to be a fair arbiter. It's not going to be a referee. The United States is, and the United States doesn't pretend not to be, right? There has not been a U.S. president since 1948 who has not said that Israel is our friend, our ally, I mean, as we move further and further away, the relationship is stronger, but they've always said Israel is our ally, Israel is our friend, right? So knowing that, we have to figure out how we can create spaces of resistance, how we can leverage other nation states to create spaces of resistance in the most humane and peaceful ways possible, but to take into consideration the fact that resistance is resistance, right?
I guess my follow-up to that would be, would you say that the majority of that responsibility lies with the surrounding Arab nations or the international community?
I think the international community has a responsibility to fight the occupation. Obviously, Jordan has a more direct, a bigger stake. Syria has a bigger stake. I mean, obviously Syria's got its hands full right now, and Jordan has displayed no interest, and Egypt doesn't seem to be particularly invested, at least Sisi doesn't seem particularly invested being anything other than a kind of poodle of the United States, in the same way that, well, we can talk about Arafat another time. We'll talk about the PA another time. But I'm not optimistic when I look at neighboring Arab states, is my point. Saudi is undergoing the most fascinating makeover, new edition, home makeover, that I've seen. Like a reality show watching MBS go around the nation pretending to be something other than what he is. And so there's not a lot of space, right? And Iran's being isolated. So under those circumstances, it's very difficult to imagine nearby Arab nations having a kind of an immediate powerful response that could yield any kind of difference. But I think that a global response could. That's what makes BDS so powerful. Is BDS going a silver bullet? No. But it's one way for the international community to engage in forms of peaceful resistance that will force Israel to be accountable, to force Israel to come to the table, because Israel's been very clear that they're not coming to the table. Netanyahu has been very clear in Hebrew that he's not coming to the table. He's been fairly clear in English before the elections that he ain't coming to the table. His practices have been very clear he ain't coming to the table. And once he's indicted, hopefully like the same day as Trump, the next day, whoever takes his place is also not coming to the table. It's a prerequisite for being prime minister. So I think we need a global response if we want to free Palestine, not one from the Levant, not one from the Arab nations. This is not 1956. There is no pan-Arab movement that's sufficiently organized and committed to a singular interest.
Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a graduate student here at Penn, and I just wanted to follow up with kind of this question of being located within the university, its contradictory space. And a few weeks ago, I was at an event at the Wooden Shoe. It was a panel on anti-fascist politics and the need to transform. And I see some familiar faces here. And so, but the question that was being posed here is that there are limits to our politics, and that it has been on the defensive rather than on the offensive. Defensive in the sense that we may hear of a fascist that's coming to campus and we show up and protest, or we hear the announcement of a certain gentrification plan and we show up and protest that. But there's a need to transform our politics being offensive, and to actively create environments and spaces that are actively hostile to these certain kinds of capitalist or colonial gentrification projects. I just want you to comment perhaps on that, particularly within our own local situatedness here in Philadelphia, how we can try to generate those kinds of politics.